So did Congressman Castro go too far and have the president critics become guilty of exactly what they've been accusing him of? Let's go to our panel. On the left, we have Richard Roth, founder of the Roth Law Firm. And from the right, Vecchio. He's a Republican strategist and also an attorney. I like it when we have two lawyers on because I know you're very well matched and to discuss all the implications here. So there are also legal implications to taking an action like this, listing donors. But first of all, Richard, this move to list the Trump donors, to try and shame them and to list where they work and what businesses they own, do you see this as a dangerous and provocative move?
So you know that every time I'm on here, I pretty much slam Donald Trump and I support the Democrats.
I expect nothing different tonight.
But tonight may be a little different. It was not a smart move. And what's happened is because Donald Trump lowers the level of what to do
Sounds
with his
like you're
criticism.
About to play
I guess I have
President
to.
Trump
It's in my nature.
Here. Sounds like you're
what
saying
happens is the
brought
Democrats lower their level to his level, which is a mistake. I think, quite frankly, he just annihilated his brother's campaign, and I think you can check him off. So
I mean, there wasn't much of a campaign. He was getting less than 1% of the vote, and maybe that's why he did this, to try and get some attention.
He certainly is getting attention, but you can't you just don't lower yourself to that level. You really don't. It was silly.
Ken, it's interesting that somehow Richard has managed to blame President Trump for Castro's action, saying he's lowered the discourse. But seriously, he hasn't apologized for this, Castro at least. I mean, this move, even by Democrats, is quite indefensible.
Look, the Hollywood boneheads, so-called academic elites, the fake newsters and the plastic politicians, they've created this fictitious war on race. And as my buddy here, Richard, has incorrectly stated, nobody's lowering their level to Trump. Trump hasn't made any direct racist comments or any comments that go anything beyond people twisting something that's not there. These people are the ones who are being racist by calling people racist when they're not in fact racist. Here, this was clearly designed to harass these people. I mean, it's obvious that that was the purpose. And it's obvious what you just said. You know, Beto O'Rourke and this guy Castro, they're at 0.2 in the polls. So they're taking this opportunity to exploit a tragedy for the presidential campaign hopes, which are going nowhere anyway. This is disgusting.
Well, Ken, I see you've adopted the nickname style of the president. Of course, you're referring to Beto O'Rourke.
Oh, yes.
He was very critical of the president, putting the blame on him for these mass shootings. Let's take a listen to what Beto O'Rourke had to say.
The president's language, his rhetoric, has produced the kinds of hate crimes that we saw in El Paso yesterday, but we've been seeing across this country. They've been on the rise for each one of the last 3 years. So there is a very real cause to this, and President Trump is part of that, but he exists in a racist environment that is being fueled by Fox News, by those who on the internet traffic in these conspiracy theories, the open hatred and intolerance that has found a home in people like the shooter and what he did yesterday.
Well, we're talking about him again, so it's good for him, I guess, in the campaign perspective, because people have long forgotten about Beto O'Rourke, at least based on the polling. But is that fair, Richard, what Beto O'Rourke was saying?
Look at the acts, not the words. Look at the acts. How many white supremacists have gone in churches, temples, Walmart over the last 8 years, 20 years versus the last 3 years?
This also happened during the Obama years.
It didn't happen as much, and the reason is because Donald Trump tells the congresswomen to go back where you came from. You don't think that's racist?
He did not say go back to where you came from. He suggested to go into the countries that they came from, try and fix those countries.
That's not what he said. He said they should go back. And those are pre-Civil War comments to blacks.
No, they're not.
Go back where you came from.
No, it's not. No, it's a normal kind of comment that people. It's a normal kind of comment that people say all the time. And that has nothing to do with race. None of this stuff has anything to do with race.
It has a lot to do with race. What's happened in the last 3 years is we've had white supremacists. Tell me how many. We've had a lot of black and police arguments, brutality. But white supremacy has never been on the rise like it is today.
Well,
is that a coincidence that Donald Trump, who doesn't condemn it when it happened a year and a half ago in North Carolina? It's not a coincidence.
Can I respond to this?
First
of all, Donald Trump condemned this at the highest level. You couldn't have condemned it any harder than you did.
It didn't when it happened a year ago.
But let's wait a minute. Let's be fair and honest here, okay? The vast majority of Americans of all colors are not racist. The murders that get committed across the country country are committed in equal parts by people of all races. Look what happened in Chicago over the weekend. 55 people shot, 7 people murdered, okay? The murder rate, factually, out of the 15,000 homicides that occur yearly, the murder rate is at its highest, not with whites. It is with other races.
But hold
on a second.
Years.
But it doesn't.
How many white supremacists have walked into a church and walked to a temple?
I'm not saying that there aren't some white supremacists. There are, but you're talking about completely random acts by nuts.
All right.
The same as
I think a
reasons
useful
that they are superior to everyone else.
Hang on. I think a useful exercise would be to go and compare those stats. But to be clear, the president has unequivocally condemned white supremacists, the KKK, David Duke by name.
Finally, yes, but not when it first happened.
Now, let me ask you
a year
this.
ago in South Carolina.
The Dayton shooter.
What?
He was a far-left extremist. Twitter accounts linked to him showed that he was a Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren supporter, that he was pro-socialism. He says, I want socialism. I'll not wait for the idiots to finally coming around to understand. Now, I'm not saying that we should assign motives to him as well. But isn't there a double standard where blame isn't assigned to the political candidates and causes that he supported? It's something that the president tackled today. Let's watch quickly.
My critics are political people. They're trying to make points. In many cases, they're running for president and they're very low in the polls. A couple of them in particular, very low in the polls. If you look at Dayton, that was a person that supported, I guess you would say, Bernie Sanders, I understood. Antifa, I understood. Elizabeth Warren, I understood. Had nothing to do with President Trump. So these are people that are looking for political gain. I don't think they're getting it. And as much as possible, I've tried to stay out of that.
Again, Richard, the Twitter account linked to the Dayton shooter did show an affinity for far-left candidates and causes. They're not getting the blame for his actions. I'm not suggesting that they should. I'm not suggesting that it's necessarily helpful to assign blame to people that are clearly crazy. But you don't think that there's a double standard?
I think to some extent there is. I agree with you. I do agree that there are the radicals out there. The difference is, and therefore, both the far left and the far right, if you will, we're a very polarized country. But the problem that I have is that there's not one political candidate out there, you're going to disagree with me, who's of the stature that the president is, or a senior congressman or a senior senator, there's some lower congressmen who've done it, who have raised these issues. Right. They've literally come out and said,
we have 30 seconds till a hard
home.
break. Ken, I'm giving you 20 seconds to reply.
Thank you. Per capita percentage-wise, it's the only statistic that matters. There's no more murders committed by any particular group. There are no more racists in any particular group, and there's no more evil people in any particular group. We need to stop talking about race nonstop. We need to stop separating people and dividing people.
We are out of time. Ken, Richard, thank you so much as always. We'll be right back.